This is Building Bridges with Michael Hershman.
Welcome to another episode of Building Bridges, that which unites us. This week, I'm thrilled to be joined by Stephon Marbury, two-time NBA All-Star, former Knicks point guard, and a legendary figure in the Chinese Basketball Association, where he became a national icon and later served as head coach of the Beijing Royal Fighters. Born and raised in Brooklyn, Stephon's journey from the courts of Coney Island to international stardom has been driven by a lifelong commitment to purpose and a dedication to using his platform to uplift others. Stephon, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
Unfortunately, now that the Knicks have lost, we have nothing to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about, always.
Seriously, how did you enjoy this season?
It was great. You know, we showed a lot of commitment towards us trying to win a championship. It was good to see that the guys, every game, put forth the effort and the energy to try to make sure that it could position us to go as far as we could. And we did. We went to the Eastern Conference Finals this year after 25 years. So it's positive. You know, it's not what we wanted, but at the end of the day, there's only one team that wins at the end of the season. And we'll wait and see. It's down to 2 right now. We got down to 3, but the guys, they showed incredible heart despite not making it.
Was it a surprise to you that the coach was fired after 4 out of 5 very good seasons?
It's New York. That's the best way to explain it. It's New York. You don't win. These are the things that happen. But they gave him a nice severance package, $30 million.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Any truth to the rumors you may be the next coach of the New York Knicks?
Where did that come from?
Came from me. I made it up.
But it's so funny that, you know, my teammate just yesterday, Jamal Crawford, he was like, hey, why you don't go and put your name in a hat? And I was laughing. I was like, nah. I said, that's something I got to pray about. Because it's a really big job. It's a hard job. And I think that for me, you know, being on the sidelines, watching and learning and seeing what guys are doing and enjoying the game, I think that best fits me for right now.
Well, just let me say they could do a lot worse than appointing you head coach of the Knicks. You did a terrific job coaching the Chinese team.
It was good. It was a great experience. I learned a lot. I do think I could do the job. I think I definitely can coach in the NBA, coach in Europe, anywhere, China, doesn't matter. After my 4 years of coaching, I gained a wealth of knowledge and experience from coaching. You learn a lot about the other side of the game, because when you're playing, it's completely different from when you're coaching. When you're coaching, you can't just get on the court and make things happen, so you literally have to use your mind, and you have to get guys to get on the same page, along with treating everyone's personality completely different, putting them all in one bag and dealing with them separately opposed to dealing with the whole. So learning all of these things, learning how to manage, because I wasn't good at managing a team when I first started. But by the time I got to my 4th year, I was able to do so and understand what guys wanted, what they needed. The X's and O's of basketball is really simple when you play for 22 years. It's more of getting guys to believe in the execution and knowing what they need to do to execute and getting everybody to buy in to wanting to be on the same page. So for me, coaching was a treat, but it's really hard, challenging, and to coach in New York, that's a big feat.
I want to talk to you a little bit about coaching in college, basketball coaching in college. With this NIL, name, image, likeness, and players essentially selling their talent on a year-to-year basis for, in some cases, millions of dollars. How does a coach deal with the issue of lack of consistency?
I think now it's a new farm system for the NBA. It's an intermediary before the guys get to the NBA. So I think people have to look at it from the phases of growth and development opposed to just looking at it from the money standpoint. Because if you look at how much money college makes, from college basketball, football, just sports in general. It's a lot. It's billions of dollars. So now they're able to allow players to make money, for them to receive dividends for their name, image, and likeness. So the NIL deals come at a really good time. As far as for the coaches being able to balance, it's just like transferring into them being what they are, professional coaches in a college league. They have to be professional people and treat their players as professionals, such as the NBA. Because now, you have guys who are getting paid to provide a service for the school, and the school is trying to win a championship, obviously, but also they still want to win to continue to enrich the program. So it's a lot of other facets of, understanding what the coach needs to do as far as what they're supposed to do on the court. But still, those guys can't make money if they're not playing well, if they're not good players. And at the end of the day, they're still growing to try to get to the NBA, to play in the NBA. But college now, you can literally create a life in college, a professional life. Some guys can make up to $5 million a year. Cooper Flag, what he made, about $30 million playing 1 year in college basketball. So it's really good that these kids are receiving these opportunities to be able to be paid.
But what about the fans? I mean, I like Duke. I like ACC basketball, actually. And Cooper Flag is a great player, and now he's gone. And the fans, I mean, how do you keep allegiance to a team when your favorite players are gone after a year?
I know. I mean, it's hard. It's hard, but, this is why we play. We play to go to the NBA. We don't play to play in college. I'm just being honest. Like, I don't go to college. I'm not thinking I'm going to college to stay in college to play basketball for 4 years. I'm thinking I'm going to college to use that as a platform to go to the NBA. Now they get to go to college, make money, and still go. But I think the money part gives them the opportunity to be able to stay longer. And I think that's where the schools have to be able to, when they sign their contracts, if they're going to give, guys X amount of dollars to play for their school, I think inside of that contract there needs to be some binding agreements and what they have to do, as far as playing, as far as off the court, as far as like their responsibilities, because now they have a fiduciary responsibility under contract law to do certain things for the school. So getting these kids to understand the significance of being a professional in college, I think that's where we are right now, and that is going to take coaches to be more understanding and learn more about how to treat college as professional basketball.
So let's turn the clock back.
Oh, okay. I like
Growing up in Brooklyn, I grew up in Brooklyn, not far from Coney Island. You grew up in Coney Island. Yeah. To me, Coney Island was Nathan's hot dogs and the boardwalk.
Yeah.
Anytime I got to go to Nathan's and go on the rides at the boardwalk, it was a big day for me. You were there every single day, living your life there on the streets in a sometimes very difficult environment. You were there when crime was rampant. How did you stay out of that environment?
Well, for me, my parents, my brothers and sisters, I come from a big family. My mom and dad, before my dad passed away, my mom and dad were married for 50 years. My dad is from Chattanooga, Tennessee. My mom's from New York. They met. My dad was in the Air Force. My dad came to New York, and my mom and dad met. And two different ways of how we think and thought. We lived in Coney Island, but the way we were raised and the way we thought was like, we didn't know that we were poor. The way how my mom and my dad, the way he went about things. We knew that we didn't have certain things, but we didn't understand being poor and not being poor. We just knew we couldn't get certain things. But growing up in a place where drugs and violence is something that is a part of the neighborhood, for me, basketball was my outlet. Basketball took me all over the planet. It allowed me to go so many different places. I remember when I was getting ready to go to my high school prom, I got a letter from USA Basketball, and it said that you were invited to go to play in Argentina for the Olympics. And I told my mom, I was like, oh, I'm not going. I'm going to my prom. She said, no, you're not. You're going to Argentina. That's where you're going. You're going to play basketball overseas. You're getting out of here. You're not going to stay here. And I went to Argentina, and when I was there, I came back and I gave all my clothes, all my pens, everything I gave away, my sneakers. And my mother was like, I said, man, I went to another place and it's way different than here. It's nowhere near like Coney Island. She was like, oh, you had a different experience. I was like, yeah, the kids they didn't have this, they didn't have that. And that's where my appreciation came even more, knowing where I came from, knowing where I was able to fight to get out of this space and place and to remove my mom from that environment, and also to go back to help and to give back, to encourage, and for other kids to be able to have the opportunities to be able to play in the NBA as well, in which we did. You know, Coney Island, from where I'm from, we have the most NBA players probably in the whole world. After I made the NBA, we had about 10 to 12 guys from Coney Island play in the NBA from New York.
Unlike anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So look, there's only few international languages. Sports is an international language.
Yes.
Music is an international language.
Yes.
Everyone knows sports.
Yes.
Everyone knows music. And I've always thought it important. I and my brothers, we played. If it was a ball, we played it.
No doubt.
But at that time, the values that our parents instilled in us were very, very important. Mm-hmm. If my dad couldn't come to one of my games and we had dinner that night, he wouldn't ask me if we won. He would just say, did you have a good time?
Yeah, fun.
Now, sometimes I go to these little league games, or
Mm-hmm.
midget football games, and the parents are screaming and yelling and intimidating the coaches and yelling at the umpires or referees, and they're scaring their own kids to death out on this. What happened to the purity that we grew up in sports?
I think when the parents now, they see how lucrative the contracts are, they see a guy signing for $250 million, $500 million playing baseball, $700 million playing baseball. It's a sport, and people are like, you know, you're almost signing close to $1 billion, half of $1 billion to do something. You're gonna maximize everything that you got. So it's just a way of how the parents need to be able to communicate with their children. I think, you know, because, as I said, it's becoming so big, sports, now the parents, they have the vision of what they foresee for their children and what they saw or what they may have wanted when they were growing up. So they're kind of like vicariously living through their children and trying to get them to be the player that they weren't, or for them to do something that other people have done, because now it's a lot of money that can be made. So I think this is one of the things that's happening in the minds of some of the parents, because you look at AAU basketball, similar, same situation. Football, I'm looking at parents, they got like on the back of their cars, they got their kids' pictures with the kid running with all of the equipment on for football. I mean, and it's cool, and they got all his social media handles. So it's a new way in how kids are interacting with social media, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, all of these different platforms that can be utilized where, you know, people can show individualism as far as what they're doing on a court, what they're doing on football, baseball. You know, they basically get to self-proclaim themselves and show people, you know, this is what I'm doing, and look at me. And, you know, you can go to my social media and look at all of what I've done, and this is why I should go to your school, and this is why you should pick me. So this is a new form and a new way in how, you know, people visually look at the new talent and the next people that are coming out in sports.
You know, some parents live through their kids. Mm-hmm. Some parents couldn't achieve in athletics what they hope their kids will achieve. And sometimes those kids don't even want to be there mm-hmm. doing that. How do you talk to a parent that has these high hopes and thinks about scholarships and NIL numbers when you as the coach, for example, knows that this kid doesn't have it hard in it?
It's difficult. It's challenging. The reality is that there are less. You look at the numbers on how many kids make it to the NBA every year, but everybody plays basketball. A lot of kids play basketball. Only 30 people get picked every year. Maybe 40 with second round picks. That's 40 people out of everybody on the whole planet. It's 400 million people that play basketball in China. That's more than the whole population of America. So when you think about how many people are playing just that sport, trying to play, who love the game, people here in America, Europe, all over. When you look at the game and you look at how parents are viewing it, they can't even see the numbers. Only thing that they can see is the numbers and how much money can be made. So this is why they force and they push their children to do these things. And what's the solution? I don't really look at it as a solution. I think it's just something that will have to curve as time goes on, and the reality that it's not as easy as you think. It's way harder than you know, and not everybody can do this job consistently, because consistency is what is being what professional organizations are paying for. They're not paying people because of their ability. They're paying for you to do something over and over every single time when we get on the court, to give us an opportunity to be able to do something, what we feel we want to do as an organization and winning the championship. So I think it's so much information before the parent understands what's actually happening and the growth and development and the steps that's needed to be taken. Opposed of now, parents, I feel like, as a grandfather, I feel like with NIL being something that is so prominent right now, this is a great moment in life for parents to be able to put things in compartments as far as, okay, let's get you to high school, do well in high school, and then once we get you to high school, let's get you really good in high school, and then now we have a place where you can still excel and you can grow and you can learn and you can make a lot of money playing college basketball. Because NBA, that's a different feat. Right? That's that consistency space where this is what you expect. Like, you expect this guy to make that free throw. You expect that guy to make that open shot. But college is more a little bit different. You know, when the guy makes it consistently over and over, you're like, oh, that guy is good. He's going to be in the NBA. He's going to go high in the pick, right? But in the NBA, you don't think about that because your mind is not programmed to think that way, because you understand that the National Basketball Association, no boys allowed, you understand that that platform is for the highest level of play. But now we have NIL, which is it's a medium for sports, professional sports. And now kids can go, they could go to school for 4 years. They can make up to $20 million US. Some guys in the NBA can't make up to $20 million in the NBA for 4 years.
You know, when folks think of Stephon Marbury, they think of the extraordinary career you had in basketball, amazing career. They often forget, though, that you had another side to you, and that was a side that spoke to social responsibility, giving back. I remember, for example, when you decided to have your own line of athletic shoes, of sneakers, but you wanted to make them affordable so that kids, rather than having to spend, and they couldn't spend $200 or $300, could have a pair of sneakers for $20. Where did you get that idea? Where did that come from?
Growing up in Coney Island playing basketball, you know, you didn't have I didn't have the shoes. I always wanted to buy Jordans because it was expensive, and all the other kids had them. It wasn't about playing in his shoes and thinking that his shoes could make you jump higher or play better. It was Michael Jordan. So, everybody wanted those shoes. But when I realized that children were getting killed for a pair of shoes, that's when I was like, this makes no sense. Looking on TV at a parent lowering her son into the ground for a pair of Michael Jordan sneakers in Chicago. I thought that was the dumbest, stupidest thing that ever happened because the shoes don't cost that much to make. So literally kids were killing other kids for things that had no value really, other than just the guy who jump up and down and shoot a ball into a hoop. So for me, that was where my mind was at. It wasn't about Michael Jordan. Yeah, I respect Michael Jordan as a basketball player, and I think that he's great. He's unbelievable as far as what he does, but the social responsibility and the consciousness of watching children literally kill each other it just didn't make sense to me. So coming out with a pair of sneakers for $14.98, and not only shoes, but clothes as well, it created access for all. So now it wasn't just about selling shoes for $14.98 and selling clothes for $10 and $9, $8. It wasn't about that. It was about doing something that someone didn't do for me. And that's what I wanted. I wish someone would have did what I did for the community, for kids to be able to go purchase their own shoes, for them to want to save their monies to go and buy product at an affordable price for themselves and know that I'm buying a pair of shoes and I bought them. I saved my money to buy them. My mom didn't give you the money. That was the message. That was what we were trying to get people to understand. Like, we're teaching the young generation how to fish, opposed to just giving it to them. This is a great way of how they could say, oh, the parents could be like, I don't need to give you money. You were buying Jordans, you was buying all these LeBron shoes, you was buying everybody's shoes for all of these, for spending. Now you could go buy your own shoes and you could get some clothes. Matter of fact, you could get 2 or 3 pairs of shoes and you could get 2 or 3 outfits.
So it's not only about shoes, though. You have to have some place to put those shoes on to play. And we went out to the folks in the street to ask them about the importance of neighborhood parks and the ability to use those parks, whether it's for relaxation, whether it's for sports. And I want to let us hear some of the remarks that we got and see what you think about them.
How has a neighborhood court or park shaped your identity?
I think it's given me a second home in where I'm growing up and just a place to be myself and play with my other friends, like that playing basketball or softball. We'd always go to the fields and just have our own time and enjoy that.
Yeah, swimming, going to the pool, playgrounds. Yeah, it's important.
In the housing area where I lived in the suburbs in England, there was plenty of green space for us to get out and play. And the school that I was lucky enough to go to did have plenty of sports grounds that belonged to the education system as well. So yeah, it was very good to get out and get around that way.
Yeah, for sure. You meet a lot of random people at the park. I play a lot of pickup basketball, so definitely a lot of socialization and skills on how to talk to people and treat people.
Basketball courts where I grew up, it was a big place for kids to come together. Sports in general just bring people together, whether they're playing them or watching them.
So they all agreed that having appropriate playgrounds and sports venues are important for their lives. That's why it's important when we do urban development to remember that sports are an important part of everyday lives. You were in some respects lucky. You had a basketball court right next to your apartment. Yeah. Some kids today don't have that opportunity. They have to take buses or have other forms of transportation to get somewhere to play sports. How can we deal with that? How can we fix that problem?
It need to be built. having a park and having a court and having all of that in New York City by the water, that would be really nice for people to be able to do that, especially in the city, because it's not that many courts in the city, but there are some. But for me, growing up, having a basketball court right outside of my building, that literally was how you stay out of trouble, because you're always on the court. So, it's hard to go mess with all of the girls. You mess with some of the girls, but they got to come to the court, right? Or getting in trouble with your friends. So, when I see kids going to play basketball, getting on the bus, driving it, riding their bikes to go play basketball, that's the passion and that's the love. But whenever it's central and, people have easy access, that's always best.
You had a lot of disadvantages growing up, but you also had some advantages. You came from a basketball family.
I did.
Your dad, your brothers, everyone played basketball in your family. I hesitate to think what they might have said if you said, I'm going to play football.
Well, I had brothers that play other sports, but for me, everyone knew that I was going to focus only on basketball. Even though I didn't try to try out for teams, but I just played because my brothers played just from an athletic standpoint. But my focal was only basketball. I thought that, staying on one track and just doing that, there wouldn't be any distractions.
So what would your dad have said if you said, Dad, I'm going to play football?
He would just looked at me and smiled and be like, yeah, okay. No way. It would never
He probably wouldn't have believed you, right?
Nah. Nobody would believe that.
Look, I'm so enthusiastic about folks like you that have succeeded in sports and life and give back. And, I know that you help youth around Brooklyn and elsewhere, and you give them advice. And so I want to ask you, given the career you had, you spent 1 year at Georgia Tech, and then went right into the NBA. You played for a number of different teams, ended up with the Knicks, and of course had a very successful career in China as well. What, if anything, would you have done differently?
What would I have done different? I wouldn't have done not one thing different to be right where I am sitting talking with you.
So your experiences have built in part your philosophy of life right now.
Yes.
What was more important? Was it playing in the NBA, or was it your experience in China that led you to where you are today in terms of your temperament, in terms of your philosophy?
I think the presence of God is my temperament and how I foresee things. Basketball, it just gave me the opportunity to be able to go all over the planet and do something that I love to do. Treating people the way how I wanted to be treated, that is the philosophy of my mother's teachings from since I was able to remember and think. I think basketball, what it does is it just gives you the opportunity to bring so many people together. As you said, it's a language, it's a culture, and it's something that people give everything towards. Their life, I've given my life to basketball. 26 years of basketball, 22 playing, 4 years coaching. That's a long time, 26 years. And for me to have done that and to be able to have utilized an object, to be able to meet so many different people, statues have been built of me because of a ball and on foreign land. So to be immortal in this life and to be living, to be playing basketball while being immortal is only the highest power in my mind and how I feel, which allows me to see things different, to understand things differently, to be conscious and to be aware that this was a blessing in me being able to receive the things that I've been able to receive. Knowing that I had a lot of trying times before I got to China, before all of the good came, that people would never have thought of. I went through an experience in America that people probably would have looked like it's like a plane getting ready to crash, and then the plane went and just, took off after going to China. And it's so.
You had a rough time in New York. We know.
Yeah,
that.
It was rough. It was hard, but I always look at every rough situation every time it was something that was supposed to happen, and it's how it grows you in a positive way. Because sometimes it changes you. You could stay in a negative state. You could stay in that space, but I chose to make a decision. I chose to be fearless, to go after what it was that I really wanted. Going to China and living there for the last 15 years, that wasn't something that was planned. If someone told me, oh, you're gonna go to China and you're gonna play basketball and you're gonna win championships and you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, I would have said, you're lying. That I'm not gonna never go do that. I'm not gonna do that when I was playing in the NBA. So you never know what's to come.
I'm going to ask you a question that some people might think is a clown question.
No question.
I want you to tell me the difference between New York basketball fans, NBA fans, and Chinese basketball fans.
New York fans? Nah, we different. We're a little different. Chinese fans are crazy because they love basketball, but New York fans, we are the most delusional fans on the planet. Like, our thinking, even when we lose, we we lost because, they turned the alarm off in the hotel. And we lost because, but we know we lost, but in our minds, we know that we're a better team, and we think that way, and we feel like because we're a better team, next year we're gonna win the championship. We're crazy.
So, were you ever...
I'm part of that too, just so you know I'm part of that. Just so you know.
Were you ever booed by Chinese fans?
Nah.
They're too polite to do that.
I got booed before. Oh, hold up. In China, the teams that I beat in the championship, they hate me. Oh my God. They hate me. They hate me with a passion. Because the two championships that I won, the first championship we won at home. The other two championships we won on their floor. So we hold up the trophy inside of their building.
So they didn't like you, they hated you, but how did they express that? How did they express that? They weren't throwing things at you.
Oh yeah, but we got thrown lighters at me before. Yeah, they don't play. It's like overseas in Europe. They don't play. They boo you. They whistle everything. It's serious. It's serious. It's not a game. It's different. It's not governed like how it's governed. Like NBA, how they govern the league. Nah, it's different. I mean, the fans don't get crazy like that because the government is serious in China. But the fans, they're for real.
So we have a lot of Knicks fans out there that listen to us, and they're still going through depression right now.
Knicks and
they keep saying to themselves, if we had only won that first game, we played that first game poorly. What do you want to tell the fans about the Knicks?
Look, this year was a hard year to lose the way how we lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I will say this, and this is on a serious note. The Pacers played against Boston last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, so their experience in playing in this game, it grew a lot. And you can see their growth and development in how they came out in the third quarter of the last game. They saw that New York was sleeping, and they came out and jumped on us right away. And when they jumped on us right away, we couldn't recover. So I look at their growth and development, and just that 5 minutes is where they grew at from last year. And I think from us losing in that third quarter, I think that right there, we will remember that for next year. So I'm a little bit more optimistic as a coach and as a player. Just same as with Coach Tibbs. to my answer was a little flat, but at the same time, I feel like our team for next year, I think we're going to be better. I think, the coach that we bring in, it needs to be someone who is energetic, who has a belief system that you go out, you play hard, you play smart, you play together, you give yourself an opportunity to win, right? So we need really good energy coming to our team next year because, this is New York, and the media, they're going to pick apart whoever comes from what they did in the past and what their possibilities of what they could do in the future. So for our team, we got to stay focused on we have a really good team. That's the most important thing. With the coach, yeah, you need a good coach, but we got a good team right now. And if you don't do nothing to our team, we're an Eastern Conference championship caliber team for what we've put on this season. So that's the most positive thing that we can look at. And as long as we can strengthen that and make it stronger, I think we'll be okay next year.
Amen. Stephon, thank you so much for being with us. I got to add one final question.
Yeah, I love pop.
You're wearing some very different kind of glasses. What is with those glasses? Why?
These glasses? Are you serious? My glasses went dead.
So, but earlier they were kind of changing colors. Is that some sort of magic?
Yeah, it is. It's magic. But I can't talk about it now because they're not working right now, and I'm a little upset that
we'll get you back to talk about your glasses.
That's when we're coming back, Camelo.
As we conclude today's episode of Building Bridges, that which unites us, I'm reminded that the greatest impact in sports often happens off the court. Stephon has shown us basketball from a new perspective, one of purpose, expression, and connection. A very special thank you to Stephon Marbury for joining me, and to all of you for tuning in. With every conversation we have, the chance to build bridges, that which unites us.
This is Building Bridges with Michael Hershman.